Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? My name is Kelly, and welcome to Solution Seekers. I know it's been a while. It's been about a week since my last video, and I got caught up in the politics and everything else. And I had a bunch of news clips about some protests and Trump supporters, and they're not wearing any mask. And there's one where, although I'm going to reference some type of influenza, and most of all this lockdown it's created by, and the first name starts with a C and the last two numbers are 19. I can't mention that because if anybody is mentioning that quote unquote that word, their video is pushed down. So for the sake of argument, I'm just going to say C19, and because of the high numbers of C19, we here in California have been on curfew since last week. And Los Angeles County has been on curfew since last weekend. Starting tomorrow, we're at a safer at home until December 21st, I believe, or the 20th. So, a lot of businesses shutting down. Once again, the numbers are skyrocketing. And from what I read earlier, I guess California has the highest rate nationwide since last year. So, I mean, since earlier this year. I'm still thinking that March just seemed like it was back in the days, like it was so many years ago. And March 2020 was only 9 months, 10 months ago. It's almost the end of the year. You know, where are we going? No, 7 months actually, 7, 8, whatever, however many months. Um, where are we going? What do we have to look for? Are we still don't have a stimulus package? I guess there's some deal right now going on with Congress, but they also have to have a bill for this. The federal government's running out of money, so they have to have a budget for them that will be done by December 10th or 11th, I believe. Um, Consumer price index is out. It's low. GDP is low. A lot of people are in debt. This shit is turning into a shit show. And you know what? And the emotional insecurity that a lot of people have. I've been getting a lot of messages and a lot of phone calls about different people going through different shit. And these are unprecedented times. And but how do we manage this shit? Me personally, because of my life experiences, none of this stuff has really affected me that bad. But I feel for the people who are just, their way of life has just been crushed. And, in the last few months, people were under the impression that things were getting right back into just some kind of normality of life. And, in the last week or so, it's just taken a completely different turn. And, it's unfortunate that a lot of people just are having a very hard time about dealing with everything. And me, myself, I'm just looking at it. For me, it's all about perspective, and I have to maintain and enlarge my perspective at all times. What do I do when I get so flustered? It changes. Sometimes I do Excel. I just finished doing a website. I try to use that negative energy that's around and try to do something that's more productive for myself or forthcoming. I try to be of service to humankind, mankind, and I try to help people out, and as much as I possibly can, because it gives me a good feeling and it takes away that emotional uncertainty about something that I cannot control, because everything that's going on now, it's not my fault. It's like, it ain't my fault. No, don't even get me started. Um, Going back to the 90s and rap music. But, how do we, I think collectively, if people can start reaching out and still staying safe and try to do something for the next person that you see that's struggling, because let's be honest, a lot of people are struggling. If you're struggling, you don't have to. That's still a personal choice. And you know what? If you need to hear this, if nobody else told you, I love you. I care about you, and I hope that you will always be trying to be the best version of yourself, even in the midst of all this bullshit. C19 is here. It's not going anywhere. Allegedly, there's a few vaccines, but how, for most of us, we're not going to see that until the probably end of next year. But it's just an assumption on my part. The only thing I can see what's ahead of me, not what's going on. I'm not going to try to future fuck myself, and that things are going to be here, things are going to be there. One thing about myself is that I never try to control the outcomes that life presents. I just try to go with the flow of it and try to learn something as much as I can. And these lights are probably really bothering me. Not probably, they are. But anyway, as things take on a detrimental effect in my life, so sometimes I have to take a moment, sit back and reflect on it. And I said, have I gone through this situation before? You know, how is it affecting me emotionally? How is it affecting me spiritually? How is it affecting, like, my health is a big issue, and it just puts me into those emotional low points where it's sending me down those rabbit holes. But I stand on the precipice of those rabbit holes, and I'm looking down, and I can see Alice calling down, Kelly, come on down here and join me. But no, I'm sorry, Alice. Maybe next time. And then I just sit down right in front of that hole, and I'm just like, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? I need to harness my perspective, and let's see the best version of myself possible, like I did in the other video. Matter of fact, this version is going to be, let's see the best version of yourself, part two. You know, it's never what I say in life that only matters. Is about what do I do? How do I get over these emotional hurdles and these upheavals? Sometimes I listen to music, play video games, do Excel, access database, trying to learn something new, trying to immerse myself into something new and different. I'm all about, the intellectual pursuits, always trying to learn something, and hopefully it's for the betterment of myself. And some things I need to learn I know just because I just crave information and knowledge. That's the one reason I used to work in library science, but now I'm just an unemployed Uber driver now. There's no money, there's nobody out there, there's no trips, and even when that happened, I made a decision that, you know what, I'm just going to sit on my ass until all this crap is over. And, financial insecurity happens, but it does not define me. What defines me is my reaction to it, and it's just what it is. And thankfully, I've been trying to put away money and not spend too much because of these things that may happen. Because if you were listening and paying attention back in the spring, Dr. Fauci said in the fall it's going to be really tough, and the numbers are going to skyrocket, and thus here we are. But how do we deal with it? And I just hope that people are just doing whatever they have to do without causing themselves any harm or the harm to anybody else, because 2020 is all about perspective, not the process anymore. And I'm a process guy. But prior to March 2020, it was all about the process. Now it's just all about immersing and enlarging the perspective. And I try to do that to the best of my ability. And I'm not always perfect at it, but if I don't never try it, nothing's never going to happen. You know, I just wish that everybody would just do the best that you possibly can, and try not to let that stuff get you down and get the best of you. I know a lot of people, their hours have been diminished, and they haven't been lost their jobs, and that's a big that's a big thing to overcome. But as long as you got your health, man, you can always find another job, man. And your emotional, there's a correlation between your emotional and your mental health. How is that really going to help you? And I know I hear this all the time, Kelly. Nobody wants to hear that shit. But at some point, you're going to have to hear something and do something about changing your situation, because let's be honest, nobody can change your situation. If not you, then who? And if not now, then when? Oh, I always take a break, go to the hat, get a pastrami with extra mustard, hot mustard, and I get the chili cheese fry, which is massive, and I just sit there and I have a pity party for a little while. Sometimes I'll even go to the store and I'll get a box of Kleenex and I'll put Kelly. And then when I have them, I lay all that stuff out, turn on the PlayStation, and I'll have a pity party until I come back to my senses. And then I put some Tupac on, I bring my laptop out, and now it's time to get to work and do something, because I just don't want to. My life is not defined by being fucking miserable. That's a fucking choice that I have to make on a daily basis. I know for some of us it's easier than others, but you know what? I was miserable for most of my life. And happiness to me it's all external. but that pure joy that I get from living life and facing life on life's terms. It's just one of the most magnificent things that I could possibly do for myself. And then I also try to parlay that over to other people who I have the opportunity and privilege to come into contact with. And, if there's a way for us all, but you're just going to have to dig deep, do something different. And it's what I mean by doing something different, because it's hard. I was telling a friend of mine the other day, magnificent woman. I've even stole some stuff when I was in my early recovery. I used to work. We worked at the same place, and I actually stole some of the attributes that this woman had, because she was just always about giving quality and value to the kids that she taught. And I did that, and and I'm just running with it, and trying to pass on those same things to other people. That's if they're that's if they're if they really even want this. Some people just choose to be miserable. I choose not to be miserable. It takes a lot of effort on my part, and I wake up in pain on a constant basis. I'm always in pain, because if it's not my cervix, it's my lumbar. If it's not my lumbar, it's the sciatic nerve. So if it's not one thing, it's nothing. But it's always been that way for me. There's nothing changed. It's just the circumstances of it has always changed. Some of us have been hard pressed our whole lives. Some people have had it easy their whole lives, and now the roles have kind of reversed, because we change places, because it's never what happens in life that ultimately matters. It's about how we respond to it. And some of us have just been given shit our whole lives. So if you know somebody like that, reach out to them and tell them how they're managing to deal with this shit. Because this shit ain't nothing new, you know? But for some it is, and you know what? And that's why I make these videos. That's why when I was doing Uber on a constant basis, I would just talk to people and try to interject some of the stuff that I learned over the decades of my life, and living in dysfunction and toxicity, and living in hostile, violent, and racist environments. And at the end of the day, I still made it. My spirituality is intact. My health is somewhat intact. My mind is somewhat intact. And you know what? I can't complain though. I could, but who wants to hear me complain? Because all you gotta do is watch TV or go on Problem Book, which I call Facebook, and see a whole bunch of people complain. And mostly about quality fucking problems. If you have the ability to wake up this morning, man, that's reason enough to celebrate life. Okay, you don't have no money to go buy some gifts. And a lot of people are struggling because the food banks are running out. But you know what? We live in a country where we have the ability to go get these things. I heard some in some countries they're chasing down rats to eat. I haven't started looking. I don't know what countries this is. This is just something I heard from this economist I listened to, and that's just how bad things are in some places. So I don't know how bad that you have it, but you know what? There's always a solution to whatever ails you. And if you have anything, if you need some suggestions from me, man, go ahead and put in the comments. I'll be happy to chime in to the best of my ability. I don't know it all, but I have my framework is it's well versified to a great degree, and it's one of the things I enjoy doing. So until next time, please hit that like button if you can, and please subscribe if you haven't, and don't forget, turn on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next one.